If you and your spouse are considering having an open marriage, then this is for you. Yesterday, I was talking with a woman about her relationship problem, and she said something that floored me. She told me that her and her husband had been in an open marriage for the past couple of years. They had set the rules and the regulations and the boundaries, but her husband ended up in what she called a real affair with one of his partners. That's not what shocked me. That I was expecting. It's what she said next that made my jaw drop. My name is Kimberly Holmes, and I'm the CEO of Marriage Helper. In this video, I'm going to give some real talk about open marriages, the pros and the cons. Open marriages seem to be becoming more and more common. I say seem to be because there are a ton of articles about how to do them, why to have them, and all of that. But in some surveys that I have seen, they still are showing that the majority of people want a monogamous relationship. But I digress. So if you are in a place that you have been thinking about having an open marriage, your spouse has asked you about it, or you are currently in an open marriage, then be sure not to miss my last point. You're going to want to hear it. But first, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Here at Marriage Helper, we release new and relevant relationship content every single week. And hit the bell so that you will be notified every time new material comes out. So there's a ton of articles and videos out there that talk about how to have a successful open marriage. Maybe you've read them, maybe you haven't. Here's what most of them basically say. You set the rules and the boundaries, both sexual and emotional. What's okay to do, what's not okay to do, and you set those parameters at the beginning. Then you discuss what you and your spouse are going to share about your other relationship with each other. Are you going to share details? Are you going to tell them about when you're going out with the other person? Or are you going to keep it a big secret? And the last one is a big one. They all say, the therapists, the psychotherapists that are talking about these articles or on these articles are saying that the best time to open up a relationship is when the relationship is stable. And as I'm hearing and reading these things, there's just something that doesn't make sense to me. Earlier, I mentioned that I was speaking with a woman who called into our live show. She called because a year and a half ago, her husband left her for one of his partners that he had in their open marriage. He had what the caller called a real affair, and he has been with the other woman for 18 months. But now he's coming back home. He broke it off with the other woman, and he wants to make the marriage work. She said to me yesterday, before they started having an open marriage, that they had a perfect marriage. And I had to pause and think and ask, did I really just hear her right? If they had the perfect marriage, why would they have an open marriage? And if you have thought about having or have had an open marriage, then I would love to see your comments below as to the reasons why you wanted or have wanted to venture into this. Because there's at least 3 reasons that I believe that people want to try an open marriage. The first is this: there is something missing in their marriage. All of the articles, they say, do it when you have high levels of commitment, when you already feel awesome about your marriage. But there's got to be something missing in most of the circumstances if they're wanting to add something to it. Yes, they may get along great in their marriage. They may be awesome parents together. They may feel fulfilled emotionally. But sexually, maybe they feel like they're missing something. They don't want to leave the marriage and divorce their spouse because of these feelings that they have of something missing, but they aren't happy with things staying how they are either. So maybe they want to try having an open marriage to be fulfilled both emotionally and sexually. Or maybe it's the opposite. They have a great sex life with their spouse, but emotionally, there's some connection that's lacking. This is definitely the least common of the two, but it could be a possibility. But the bottom line is something is actually missing. And instead of fixing what's missing, there's the popular message in society right now to try this. And even with all the rules and regulations and boundaries that couples try to set on the front end, almost every time, one or both people still end up getting hurt, feeling like they aren't good enough, getting jealous, and ultimately regretting the decision to ever do this in the first place. Or it may be that a couple is talked into it by someone else. There's an outside influence that's causing this to happen. It wasn't their idea in the first place. They didn't go looking for it, but someone they trusted, respected, or admired kind of convinced them to do it. For all of these possible reasons, the bottom line is why? If you or your spouse is wanting to have an open marriage or started having an open marriage, why? What is the real reason that you're wanting to do this? And in the end, is it really going to be worth it? Because here's the truth about an open marriage. It hurts people. You can go into it with enough boundaries to fortify one of the 7 continents. But at the end of the day, someone is going to get hurt because boundaries have to do with logic. And when people get jealous or angry or hurt, it doesn't matter how many boundaries you have, the emotions are going to win. The feelings of hurt don't go away because of a rule. The hurt stays. And more than likely, one or both of you is going to fall in love with another person. And then what? Are you willing to stop all of the relationships? Are you going to be okay going back to the way things were? You may say yes to both of these questions now, but when you're wrapped up in the middle of it, are you really going to be willing to stop? Is there anything that's going to be able to match that seeming ecstasy and excitement that you're getting from the open marriage, the thrill of it, the taboo of it? Is it ever going to be able to be matched any other way by going back to a relationship with only your spouse? And do you really want to feel like you have to keep going from person to person, relationship to relationship, bedroom to bedroom to be fulfilled? I say this with all of the love and respect in my heart. If you are assessing your happiness in life based on your feelings, you will never be happy. You're chasing a dream that cannot be reached. And I don't think it should be reached. Because if you're constantly thinking about your feelings and your fulfillment, how many people are you hurting in the process? I'm not saying you shouldn't be happy. I'm not saying your life should suck. I'm not saying that at all. But maybe, just maybe, your focus should be on how well you can love your spouse, how well you can love your kids, how well you can love your family now. What you can do to make your marriage better inside of your marriage, not outside of your marriage. Because you're going to be chasing something that is not ever attainable to get. Short term, sure, but long term, it won't last. Once you open your marriage, you can't go back. You cannot undo the harm that was done. Just like with our caller yesterday. They cannot forget the years of broken trust, of hurt when her husband left, of her husband's guilt for leaving. She said that after they reconcile, they are not going back to having an open marriage. How much heartache could have been avoided if they never pursued it in the first place? This stuff is hard to deal with. But no one thinks of it when they are chasing things that feel good in the moment. The problem is that the moment doesn't last. If you want to hear the hurt, the confusion, the questions that came from one couple's experience having an open marriage, click the link below to hear the conversation that we had with our live caller that I'm referring to in this video. At Marriage Helper, we have worked with many people who have had open marriages, and we want to help you as well. We want to help you experience an amazing marriage, a marriage focused on you and your spouse, and show you how you can actually get deeper levels of emotional and sexual intimacy with your spouse that you may never have thought was possible. Because emotional connection and sexual connection get better the deeper the relationship goes, not wider with other people. That will never bring true fulfillment. We have an online program called The Spark, where our in-house sexologist and relationship expert, Dr. Joe Beam, teaches you how to have the greatest levels of intimacy and ecstasy ever. We also have workshops and coaching to help you in your marriage situation. We care, and we absolutely want to help. You can find out more by visiting us at marriagehelper.com. You can also call our offices at 866-903-0990, and anyone on our team would be able to connect you with our client relations reps who can answer your questions about how to get involved with these products, get started, and ultimately get to having the best marriage that maybe you never thought was possible.